In this video, I'm going to show you how to properly clean the pins on your NES game. We need to start by removing three 3.8 game bit screws from the back. Most games will have these. Some games they'll be a little bit different. All of the products you see me use today will be linked in the description. After those screws are removed, we can pull up gently and then pull down. There are two little tabs on the end of the game cartridge right here that go in these two little grooves. So I'm going to show you a three-stage cleaning process. This game cartridge, the pins don't look too bad. They're definitely worn down there, but not too bad. So what I'm going to do is use a cotton swab with some 99% isopropyl alcohol. And I'm going to press down pretty hard while I'm rubbing on these game pins. You can see as I go, I'm getting some gunk off of the pins. Now once we've done that, we see that the pins are pretty clean. The next thing I'm going to use is a pink eraser, and I'm just going to use it to go up and down on these pins. Just like that. And if your pins aren't too dirty, this is going to clean them really well. The reason this works is because this eraser is actually very slightly abrasive. Not a lot, but just enough to get a little bit of gunk off of the pins. Now after you use that, we do need to clean any eraser debris off and any dirt or dust or debris that loosened. So we'll do that with our cotton bud and isopropyl alcohol. Okay, and now that that's done, I'm going to use some deoxit gold. This is just going to help the pins stay clean. I'm not going to use a lot. I'm just going to put a little drop on each side, and then I will bring my cotton bud back and spread that evenly on the pins. And if it looks like you can still see quite a bit of liquid on there, you may actually even want to bring another cotton bud over and clean more of it off. You don't want a lot of liquid on the pins. You just want a little bit. This will also help clean the pins when you plug the cartridge into the system. Now there is two sides to these game cartridges, so you need to do both sides with the same process. But once that process is done, if your pins look like this, then you're good to go. If your pins are considerably dirtier than these were, we need to move on to stage 2. So these pins are considerably dirtier than the ones on the previous cartridge. So I'm going to do the same thing here to start out with. Just get as much gunk as we can just with a cotton bud and some isopropyl alcohol. Then we'll do the other side. Okay, and you can see we're getting quite a bit of grime off of these pins. But no matter how much we do, it's not going to get off some of these other marks. So now I bring in a little square of melamine sponge, also known as magic eraser. Now I'm not going to press super hard, just going to go across these pins pretty gently at first and see if it can get this gunk off. I can see there's still a spot on this pin right there, so I'm going to go a little bit harder over here. We only want to put as much pressure as is needed to get off the gunk we're trying to get off, because magic eraser is also abrasive, slightly more than an eraser. So it gets more gunk off faster, but it can also wear away the coating of the pins. Now I see that there still is kind of some gunk stuck right here. So I'm going to use a metal dental pick very gently and just kind of mechanically remove it. Same with right here. It's some sort of sticky substance that's stuck on there, so this is going to be the best way to get that off. And again, I'm just scraping as much as I need to because this will wear away that coating. And then back with the magic eraser. And that is looking pretty good on this side. This side of the pins doesn't look as bad, so I will still use the magic eraser, but I won't press quite as hard. Again, just enough to clean the pins because we want to remove as little material as possible. Now we're going to have a bunch of gunk that we loosened and then some gunk from the magic eraser as well. So I'm coming back with isopropyl alcohol on a cotton bud, just going across the pins to remove anything that's on them. And same with on the other side. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time with a clean cotton bud. And then with the dry side, just make sure we got all of anything off of here that was on here. Okay, and you can see there is still a little bit of a mark there. Some of that isn't going to come off unless we really grind down on those pins, but we don't want to remove any more plating than is absolutely necessary. So this is going to be plenty good for these pins. And then we're going to come in with the deoxit again on the top side like this. We're going to soak our cotton bud pretty well with deoxit and then do the other side. So there we are, done with stage 2. Now stage 1 and 2 are gonna get basically any cartridge clean, but every once in a while you have a cartridge that's really bad, which is where stage 3 comes in. You can see this cartridge has a bunch of corrosion up here. This side not so bad, but this side is really bad. I'm gonna start out the same way, cotton swab and isopropyl alcohol. Just wanna see how much of this gunk I can get off, then I know a little bit more what I'm dealing with for the rest of it. There's a lot of gunk on these pins. Okay, I think we've gotten about as much off as we can get just with our cotton swab and isopropyl alcohol. We can use an eraser here if we really want to. What I'm gonna do though is let it dry, and then I'm gonna use some deoxit red. I'm gonna coat the pins pretty good with it because that's just gonna help clean the pins as we go. Now I don't recommend this unless it's absolutely necessary, but I'm gonna use some 1000 grit sandpaper. That's very fine grit, but enough to take off a coating pretty quickly. I'm just gonna sand very gently on these pins. Again, this is stage 3. This is when you've exhausted all other options for cleaning, and this is the only option you have left. And we're gonna go very gently on these pins. This sandpaper will definitely take off the coating, and it's gonna take off some of the coating on these pins. We'll be able to see that once we're done. But in order to get them clean, you have to take off some of the coating. So we're just taking off as little as possible until the cartridge is clean enough to play. It's never gonna look perfect again, but we do want it to be able to play. That's looking pretty good, I think. It's not gonna get rid of all of those spots, but again, we don't need to get rid of all of them, just enough to get it to work. Now, we're gonna have a bunch of gunk, so I'm coming back with isopropyl alcohol on a cotton bud. You can see as our cotton swab goes across here, just how dirty these pins were. Look at that. I'm gonna get another cotton bud, clean it some more. Now I'm gonna check and see if I can scrape any of this stuff off. Most of it is parts of the pin that have been actually kind of corroded away from whatever was on here. So it's not really anything I can scrape off in most cases on this stuff. Yep, that's about as good as we can get on it. So dry cotton bud. Whoa, we're still getting quite a bit of gunk off. So I'm gonna go over it a couple more times. Until our cotton bud comes out clean. Now that it is, I'm gonna come in with deoxit gold. This helps shine up gold pins. Just gonna go over these pins. Now you can see the discoloration on the pins because of the sandpaper we used. Get it in the light here. There you go. So as I said, that's the last option, but in some cases, that's the only way to make these games playable again. And that is how you clean any Nintendo Entertainment System game cartridge. As I said, all of this stuff is linked in the description below. If you're still having problems with a blinking red light, after you've done all of this work, I've got another video that shows you how to repair that on your Nintendo Entertainment System. I'll put that up on your screen now so you can go over there and watch how to fix that.